And welcome to a new edition of the Reigns on the Cardinals podcast here on STLSportsPage.com. Mike Reigns alongside, as always. Mike, good evening here. We're coming to you after the Cardinals completed the 7-game sojourn out in California with going from what would have been a bad loss on Thursday afternoon to one of the more dramatic wins of the season.
There may be a few people calling their cardiologist after watching the Cardinals play because there are a few interesting moments throughout the game.
Well, we'll start with the good, which was Jordan Walker. It's a home run, his 12th home run of the season, and then of course it gets the game-winning hit in the 9th inning as the Cardinals rallied for the 2 runs in the 9th after they had been down to the final strike. J.J. Weatherholt got hit by a pitch, 2 outs, 2 strikes. That keeps the inning alive. Ron Herrera gets the hit. Joel Pozo had got the inning started with the hit, and then Thomas the J.C. Pinch ran for him. So Herrera gets the hit that ties the game. And then Walker gets the double that drives in the go-ahead run. But we'll get to the other part of the game here in a second. But I want to throw some numbers at you about Jordan Walker, and I have a question for you. If you can listen to these numbers, and I want to ask you the question is it too soon to start thinking and talking about Jordan Walker All-Star?
I don't think so. And I think the thing that we've talked about before is that he's a player that you can get really excited about because he's got those glimpses where you see it work out. If he can start to put that back together, and as we talked about him coming back out of that lull, a couple weeks ago, there's a little bit of a stretch where he was kind of down. Well, he's figured it out. He's right back to where he needs to be. And if he continues this, I don't know why he shouldn't be there.
Here's what's probably going to surprise people when you hear these numbers. The 12 home runs, which we all know about, tied for the most among National League outfielders. 32 RBIs, second to Andy Pages of the Dodgers for most RBIs by a National League outfielder, not just right field, any of the 3 outfield positions. His .294 batting average ranks 7th among National League outfielders. That sounds like an all-star to me. I know we got a ways to go before the game.
I think this team's got a couple all-stars, honestly, the way you look at it. And I realize it's early and it's hard to say right now, but I think that's what's so exciting about watching this team is, Jordan Walker was the guy to come through with a couple hits today, but you don't know who's going to be the guy to show up and get it done. And that's why we've talked about, I think this team can sustain what they're currently doing because they're not counting on one player to come through.
The other guy probably most likely in line for an all-star spot is Riley O'Brien, who picked up the save again on Thursday. He has to make it a little dramatic, though, with hitting the first batter in the bottom of the 9th.
He does make it a little dramac, but he certainly deserves a shot. And it wouldn't surprise me if a guy like J.J. Weatherholt, the way he keeps playing, gets a shot at it. Obviously there's still a ways away from the All-Star game, so we'll get to that when we get there. But to me, when you look at today's game, though, I think the guy that you got to give some love to is Joel Pozo because he doesn't really play that much. He hadn't played since the beginning of, April maybe? So to see him come in and get that hit and get a couple of hits really that were some key hits in the game was very nice.
Yeah, 3 hits and actually got robbed of another hit that could have had a 4-hit day. So, yeah, very nice of him to come through serving as the DH. The other guy, of course, that we have to highlight after the Thursday game is Michael McGreevy, the starting pitcher. 6 innings, gives up a leadoff home run in the bottom of the first inning, but then shuts out the Athletics for the rest of the game, or through the 6th inning until he came out of the game. Only threw 74 pitches. And yet he was pulled from the game after the 6th inning, and almost predictably, the Athletics score 3 runs in the bottom of the 7th to take the lead.
McGreevy has lowered his ERA this year to 2.1. He looks fantastic in every shot that he's got. So there's the positive is you can be very happy about the way that he's pitching and the way that he's progressing. After a couple games early in the season that didn't go the way he wanted to, he's looked a lot better. To me, the challenge is, and it's not just with him, it's with everybody. We've talked about this. Our starters are not going deep enough in games. Mm-hmm. And at some point, Ollie's got to let them go because here's my concern. If we're only throwing 74, 84 pitches, whatever that number is, but most guys aren't going above 85 really right now, what happens when they need them in the games later in the season, but their arm strength isn't built up to throw 95 pitches or 100 pitches? And I understand that Ollie's saying that he wants to save them so they're fresh later, but I'm concerned if they're not going to be built up later.
Yeah, and we talked about before, every time you rely on throwing 3 or 4 relief pitchers a night, the chances are at least one of them is gonna have an off night, and it happened again on Thursday. So I went back and looked. The last time a Cardinals starting pitcher went through a pitch in the 7th inning was September 16th of last year. The ding, it was Michael McGreevy, who went 7 innings that night. That's
And I would bet too that if you looked, and obviously they're different people, so it'd be hard to look. But if you look back at the last couple Cardinal managers prior to Ollie, I bet they let the starters go a little bit longer. And
Mhm.
it's been my one knock on Ollie pretty much throughout the entire time that he's been here is he doesn't let his starters go deep enough. He likes to go to his matchups in the bullpen much earlier than other managers do. And it's not to say that it can't work, but I think you and I have seen the struggle where when you're going to 3 and 4 relievers every game, and when you go back to the same guys, it doesn't necessarily work out every time. Now, I know if you
Yeah.
asked Ollie, he would say Stanek was the right move today. I would disagree on that. I don't think it was. I probably would have went to Soriano in that situation if I was going to somebody, but he seems to really want to go to Stanek every time.
It was, and McGreevy had retired 12 of the last 13 hitters he faced. Really, no pressure in any of those innings. And I just don't see the downside to at least letting him start that 7th inning. If he gets in trouble at that point in the game, then you could bring in a relief pitcher, but at least let him start that inning and see where it goes. But it all ended up working out in the end.
And you're facing 6, 7, and 8 hitters in the lineup. So it's not like you're facing Nick Kurtz and Shea Langoliers again. So he'd already gotten through that part of the order. So if you're determined to bring him in, okay, let him start. And the second he gives up a hit, bring in the reliever. I don't really see the harm in letting him go one more inning because even if he throws another 10 pitches, he already threw 3 innings under 10 pitches throughout the entire game. So what's to say that he couldn't? And you're still only at 85 pitches, which really isn't that bad for a starter at all.
Third time this season, the Cardinals have won a game that they trail going into the 9th inning, their 12th comeback victory. So it's kind of becoming a something you almost expect with this club.
It's an exciting team to watch, right? And I think anybody that has watched this team so far this year knows that they're a fun bunch to get behind. And I think what's one thing I'll say that's different about this team, just looking at them than any of the previous teams that I've seen, is there's not really one big ego in the room or around them. They all fight for each other and they all want the next person, next man up to be the guy to get it done. And I think that the chemistry on this team has looked really good. And those are the teams that are good teams that win because they know they're not relying on one player. It's not one player's show and everybody else is following. They all really believe in the system and believe in each other.
While the Cardinals were playing on the West Coast, we took a run down to Memphis, obviously continuing our minor league coverage, as we try to do here on STLSportsPage.com. So we spent a few days down watching the Memphis Redbirds, and somebody that we ran into down there happened to also be in Memphis for a few days was Yadier Molina. You and I have talked about how we like to see him down working with some of the minor league guys, the minor league catchers, and there he is with Leonardo Bernal, and he's also been down there working with Jimmy Crooks, and I think that's a very positive development that Yadi's spending some time working with the minor league catchers.
And especially those two guys, right? Because as we look at the long term, as Heim talks about the projected path for these catchers, Bernal and Crooks, one of them is probably projects to be our long term catcher every day if Herrera is not the guy behind the plate, and it's great to see Yadi down there working with those guys, and it's great to see Yadi around more for sure.
One of the catchers, of course, we mentioned he's working with Jimmy Crooks. We had a chance to sit down and ask Crooks about working with Yadi and how his other part of his season is going. He's obviously 12 home runs. People are paying attention to what he's done offensively, and he talked about that as well in our little visit while we were down in Memphis.
Not tip as much, and then with us catchers.
Is there one specific thing that he's working with you on, or that he's helped you?
No, man. Just he told me that I'm doing everything pretty good. Just keep working and work on the little things, like working on top of the zone with the receiving part. But other than that, just keep doing what I'm doing.
People talk about with his career and his legacy and going to the Cardinal Hall of Fame, but now you guys are kind of shaping your own careers, and I don't know that there's an organization in baseball that has the catching depth that these guys have. With Ivan at the big league level, you and Leo here, Raniel Rodriguez just got promoted to Springfield. I mean, you're obviously aware of the big picture and what's going on with all you guys, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, when I first got drafted to the Cardinals, I knew this was a catching core organization. Like we had big shoes to fill with Yachty. So like we all knew that with him around, or from the past experience from him, is like that's what we're trying to do, is to be like that guy, because he is one of the best catchers in the world, or is in the world. But like I said, came into this org just to be the best catcher we can be.
How have you and Leo handled this kind of thing? I mean, it seems like a lot of your situations where some of you are playing first base, sometimes DH, and sometimes it's been a workable situation.
Yeah, no, it's definitely workable. I mean, we're getting our back-to-backs now, so like we're getting our 2 days to catch and then 1 day off or DH. So we're getting our at-bats in as well. So it's not that tough of a situation. Like I said, it's working out for both of us. We're getting our work in, getting that connection with the pitchers when we need to. But in all, it's working pretty fine.
You've had a taste of St. Louis at the end of last season. Was that when you were up there and then you're back here? How does that factor into your focus? And obviously you're working to get back up there as soon as you can. But is it hard to say where your feet are planted down here?
No, I mean, like I said, it's all development. Like I'm just working on the little things I need to. Obviously, with the hitting side, not to chase as much. With the catching side, just keep being a leader behind the plate. I think it was a great experience for me last year to go up there to, just keep my feet wet, know what it is all about, and bring it down here and just get more comfortable. That whenever I do get up there, it's nothing's new.
They always say experience is the best teacher. So now that you have had even a little taste of it, you kind of know what to expect. Right?
No, 100%. Like I said, I think getting my feet wet up there was the best thing that could happen for me.
Everybody in St. Louis is excited about you. You see all the reports, all the forums. They see the power going up there. So they're saying, "When's Jimmy coming up? When's Jimmy coming up?" And do you feel that from fans? I mean,
yeah, a little bit. But then again, like I said, I'm just playing my own game here. Like I said, whatever happens, happens. I'm happy where my feet's at. I get to play baseball for a job, so that's all I can ask for.
The power has been noticeable this spring. Is there something different about that part of your game?
Oh no, it's been there. I just never really showcased it, honestly. But just staying with my approach, and I think just with the power numbers, the more chase. But we're trying to limit that right now. I think that's another thing I need to keep working on. But other than that, but no, it's been there, just never really showcased it.
Well, it's noticeable. I mean, you've almost matched last year's total for home runs. So.
Yeah, no, it's definitely new for me.
Honestly, I thought maybe you had that somewhere in the.
No, never. I think 15 is the most I ever had in a year or so. But like I said, I think just me sticking with my approach and actually just sticking with it. Don't worry about it. But I'm not trying to go for the homer. It's just gonna happen.
I suspect your last question, you're probably not worried about what happens in the catching situation in St. Louis either, because that's kind of another one of those things that's beyond your control.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, as a catching group up there and here, like we're all tight. Like we're a really good group, and like I said, Yachty kind of brought us in together. Same with Go-Go. Like we're a close group, and like I said, the communication's awesome with everybody, and that's all we can ask for. And then whatever happens, happens. That's just how it is.
Wish you the best of luck, and hopefully we'll see you again in St. Louis soon.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That was Jimmy Crooks joining us from the dugout in Memphis during our trip down there this week. And yeah, Mikey's really kind of gotten off to a great start down there. And I think, it's going to be interesting to see what happens long term with the Cardinals catching, because the other guy, of course, that everybody's paying attention to is Rainiel Rodriguez, who we saw a week ago in Peoria. And then a couple of days later, he's on his way to Springfield and joined the AA ball club this week, 19 years old, now the second youngest player in all of AA, and he's off to a good start in Springfield. So a nice problem to have. These things tend to generally work themselves out, but the Cardinals do definitely have a lot of young minor league catchers who need to pay attention to.
It's a great problem to have, because, before a couple of years ago, we didn't have that system. It wasn't built up like it was. And now we've got options, right? So as long as one of them pans out, that's great for us. But also, does it turn into a trade to get us another piece that we may be missing somewhere else because we have two really good catchers, or different aspects? So I think it's a great problem to have right now.
One other Memphis note that I want to throw out there, too, if you didn't know it, Hunter Dobbins got to start on Thursday afternoon down in Memphis, because 5 2/3 innings, only allowing 1 run. He's looking like he is definitely still ready to, when that next opening comes up on the rotation, whether it's another spot start for a 6th starter or if one of the other 5 goes down. I think he's obviously going to be the next man up.
There are a lot of guys in Memphis right now that are ready to kind of take the next step here. And so Heim's got an interesting decision. At what point does he kind of make some moves here to try to change some things out? Because you and I have both talked about Andre Palante enough to know that I would much rather see Hunter Dobbins in this area than I would rather see Palante. But we've also talked about the fact that Ollie doesn't let pitchers go more than 6 innings. So maybe Palante's got a better home if he's only throwing 1 or 2 innings in the bullpen, right? So maybe that fits better for him there. So I don't know what you do, but I think at some point, Heim's got to make a decision. This club's playing well. I realize it's still very early in the season, but this club is in a spot, to be in a playoff caliber team if they continue this up. So at what point does Heim say, okay, we need to make some moves here for this team to win this year?
It'll be interesting to see how the next month or so goes, probably before those decisions have to start to be made. A couple other minor league notes. Obviously, look for a couple stories to come out of our trip up to Memphis coming up here in the next week or so, and so a story that's going to be coming up soon. Kind of looking back at the last year's draft class. We're getting now just a couple months away from the amateur draft coming up in July. We're going to take a look back at how last year's draft class is doing, starting with Tanner Franklin up in Peoria, but. Game I wish I was going to be at on Friday night down in Tulsa, because Liam Doyle is going to start, and I suspect Rainiel Rodriguez will be catching him. So you got the top 2 prospects in the Cardinal organization will be pitching and catching on, I think, probably on Friday night in Tulsa. So that'll be a fun game to watch.
Certainly exciting to have guys of that caliber that we're talking about that are going to be right here on the next level. And we can all see the long-term success of this team. If a couple of these guys pan out the way we hope they do, this team can be good for a while.
Other thing I want to call your attention to, if you didn't see it earlier this week out of our trip to Peoria, wrote a long profile story about Ty Pete, one of the new players that the Cardinals acquired from Seattle in the Brendan Donovan trade. Really interesting backstory, and I think if you didn't get a chance to read that earlier this week when it came out, you can find it on the website and learn a little bit more about one of the new Cardinal prospects who I suspect probably when we do the new rankings coming out here in August, he's going to find himself fairly high up on that list.
Yeah, a guy that fans aren't familiar with because they haven't seen him much. So a great read to learn more about him.
Also in Memphis, we had a chance to catch up with our good friend Stan McNeil. He covers the Cardinals as a senior writer for Cardinals Magazine. And we had a chance to ask him his opinion about how things are going so far at the big league level, and also what he saw from his visit down in Memphis.
Considering the expectations coming in, I think you got to be quite happy with where they are, where the Birds are right now.
What has surprised you the most about the start for the season?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, when you look at it, there's not that many guys who are performing well above or well below expectations, but you look at guys like J.J. Weatherholt, obviously. I mean, I think I had a sense that he was going to fit in, but I didn't know he would be this good this early. J.J.'s been. Riley O'Brien, I think, has been, kind of picked up where he left off last season and even maybe gone to another level.
So what you're really saying is that our expectation levels were wrong. We're the problem, not the team.
Maybe, but we'll see. It's a long season.
Yeah. What I guess, too, the other thing is now that we're both down in Memphis, you kind of see some of the guys coming here, Crooks, Baez, Bernal, some of these guys. So even the big league club playing well, but the future is promising, too, which is what Chaim Bloom has always talked about.
Yeah, I mean, Memphis, we've been here for 2 games now, and they haven't exactly shown their best these 2 games. But, yeah, there's definitely a lot of guys on this Memphis roster that we will see in St. Louis. I mean, some of them maybe even before the All-Star break.
And I think, too, one of the things about this club, I think, is they're fun to watch. I mean, the big league club, and you can throw Memphis in that category, too, because of the prospects. But, last couple of years, face it, were not been great years at Busch Stadium. It's kind of not a great atmosphere the way the club was playing. But I think if fans come down and give this team a chance, they're going to like what they see. Yeah,
there's no doubt about that. I mean, the club is playing well, performing above expectations. I mean, the way I look at it is like when the Cardinals are batting, you kind of want to see what every guy's in the lineup is going to do. There's no one in there that you're like, oh, I can go to the bathroom, miss this guy. But no, it's like, Jordan Walker the past couple of years, you're almost sometimes like it was painful to watch him at bat. This year, it's like you can't wait for him to get up there and see what he can do.
And I think that's one of the things that surprised me and I'm happy to see it, is because I think you talk about expectation levels, especially spring training did not go well for Jordan. So I think coming into this season, we all said, well, is this going to work? And now I know it's, I guess it's still a small sample size, 2 months, fourth of the quarter of the way through the season. But to this point, there's no indication, like you said, not only just with Jordan, but what other guys are doing that they can't keep it going.
Right. You know, I mean, it seems like Jordan has figured out, of course, it is a small sample size. And the one thing that I kind of have enjoyed about watching this is I think I have not met one Cardinals fan who does not want to see Jordan succeed and meet the expectations that everyone had. I think everyone has felt the pain and the frustration right along with him, and hopefully now this can keep going and everyone can enjoy it for a while.
And I think everyone's also bought into the excitement that J.J. Weatherholt has brought to the ball club.
No question. You know, I was watching MLB Network the other day, and Mark DeRosa, former Cardinal, you know, and the WBC manager for the USA team, he brought up a great point. He goes, JJ, that guy's just hammering that gum when he's up there, you know, and I think that's really, you know, he just, I don't know if that's his way of releasing the stress or whatever, but it's fun to watch. Fun to watch him. It's definitely working.
Coming up at this weekend, the Cardinals will be hosting the Kansas City Royals. Something for fans to look forward to. The Cardinal Yearbook will be out.
The Cardinals Yearbook, and this year we are celebrating the Hall of Fame inductions of Yadier Molina and Albert Pujols. So we have, you know, extensive look at their unbelievable Hall of Fame careers. That'll be at the ballpark Friday.
So look for that, and that'll be some great content, I'm sure. And, of course, we've seen Yachty down here the last couple of days, so that's been exciting. He's been working with Crooks and Bernal.
Yeah, that's impressive, you know. I mean, and it's funny because when Yachty's around, I think it just kind of somehow raises the intensity level of everybody in the building. You know, I mean, we were talking to Ben Johnson yesterday, and he kind of said the same thing. You know, when Yachty, he just his presence makes everyone around him better.
Thanks for the visit.
Thank you.
I'm Stan McNeil, senior writer for the Cardinal Magazine, and be sure to check out that Cardinal Yearbook when it comes out this weekend down at the ballpark. Also want to make sure you're checking out our merch page. We've got some of the new America 250 items we have talked about before that we're going to have those launched. You got T-shirts, you got yard flags, you've got hats, you've got bags, you've got all kinds of pillows. We got more stuff than you can actually fit on this screen. So be sure you check that all out. It goes along with our Route 66 centennial anniversary items, all of our normal STL Sports page items. So some great fun merchandise, and not too far away or not too soon to start maybe thinking about Father's Day coming up in June for some potential items there on the merch store. It does take a couple weeks to get those items ordered and delivered. So if you're inclined to any of the America's 250 celebration stuff or the Route 66 stuff or our normal stuff, thinking about Father's Day present, I urge you to check out that page.
We should think about finding some JJ Weatherholt gum, or can we come up with some sort of gum sponsorship for him? So he goes through 12 pieces a game, in case you were curious.
How does he determine when to change pieces?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, most of that gum loses its flavor pretty quick, so that could be kind of how it's happening. But that's what he told Danny on the broadcast the other day, that he goes through 12 pieces.
Maybe a research project there that'll have to track down what type of gum he uses and how he got started in that. So as Stan mentioned, we mentioned during the video with Stan that the Cardinals will be taking on the Kansas City Royals this weekend at Busch Stadium. Then the Pittsburgh Pirates come into town for 3 games. You can catch all of the homestand highlights on the stlsportspage.com. We always put those up every week when they come up. I haven't checked the pitching probables enough to know if we're going to see Paul Skeens or not next week. Mike, have you checked that out yet?
I have not looked at that enough to know. No, but you know, I think what's interesting is when you look back at this team and you look at the games that are coming ahead, all of a sudden now we play a lot of important teams in the division. But you look back since the 3 games that we got swept against the Mariners, we beat the Pirates in that series, we beat the Dodgers in that series, we beat the Brewers in that series, and we beat the Athletics in that series. The only one you dropped was the Padres.
And you split the series with the Padres. So, yeah.
Well, you split so you didn't drop it. But so you haven't lost any series since. So you keep that momentum through, especially against the teams in the division. Next thing you know, you've put together 2 really good months, and you just, you know, you've heard a lot of the guys say this year, they all show up to the ballpark and it's this game today. They're not focused on what happens in the long term. They're not focused on anything other than today's game. And honestly, that's the best mentality. And those are the teams we see that are successful at the end of the year.
This podcast, of course, brought to you free, but don't charge, no paywalls, by our great friends at the Drury Hotels. We were able to stay at the Drury in Horn Lake, Mississippi when we were down in Memphis. It's just about a 15-minute drive to the ballpark in downtown Memphis, so I encourage you to check that out if you're heading down to check out the Memphis Ball Club. Or, of course, Springfield has a Drury Hotel as well as you're going down to check out the AA Ball Club. So I know you won't be disappointed by that. And we obviously appreciate their support, as well as all of our other great sponsors here on the website, allowing us to give you the content that we do and this podcast. The other thing to look forward to this weekend coming up is we're going to see Lars Nootbaar playing baseball again. He's going to start his rehab assignment on Friday night with Palm Beach. He's got 20 days officially to go through the rehab, and then he'll be able to, assuming he's healthy and ready to go, return to the Cardinal lineup probably sometime that first week in June.
And it's going to be an interesting question when he comes back is how well is Victor playing over these next 20 days? Is it Victor or is it Nathan Church? And who's going to kind of get that spot? So it'll be an interesting battle between those two guys. And hopefully Nootbaar's another spark in this lineup, because that's a solid, middle of the lineup guy that could add to a defense, to an offense that's already playing well right now.
Well, of course, be on the lookout for our other stories from the last couple of weeks, minor league road trips that will be coming up soon on the website, as well as our complete coverage of the Cardinals Royals series, the Cardinals Pirates series, and all of the other Cardinal news that will be coming up down from the ballpark. So, yeah, we also have the Cardinal Roundtable coming up down in Springfield on June 8th. Limited tickets available. We're almost sold out already. So if you're interested, email us at rains@stlsportsbase.com. We'll get you that information. So more to come about that later on. So appreciate everybody's support. Mike, thanks you for joining us as well. And remember to always do good, have fun, watch baseball. Rob Rain supporting STLSportsPage.com.